When did I enter Bitcoin? Oh gosh, a long time ago. A long time ago, but the growth account that I post all my plays, I just bought some. Was it yesterday? Had to be yesterday. Um, but you have to understand, like, if you're following the growth, I'm going to start making a series on YouTube for those that aren't in the Patreon. They're not watching. They can at least kind of keep up with the overall progress. You won't be able to copy the plays or anything like that, but just kind of go over the progress of what's going on. We are over 100% this year, second year in a row, and I don't have to keep saying that. I'm just saying, hey, check the link out. But we had a bunch of Beto and Mara because, again, when I talked about this break right here, even in my main account, I don't even trade MicroStrategies, and I was in MicroStrategies for a Bitcoin break. Um, so I was in Beto, Mara. Beto is a Bitcoin futures. Mara is a Bitcoin miner. MicroStrategy. No one even knows what they do. They say it's a software company. Software. It's a Bitcoin company. It's really all that is. But those were like leveraged Bitcoin plays. You know, when Bitcoin goes up, for a while there, MicroStrategy is going up like a 4-to-1 compared to Bitcoin. Um, so as far as exposure to that asset class, we actually dialed it back a lot. But instead of being in those other ones, I just started buying the coin. And when I started the growth account, that's what I call it, because we started from zero, right? And we put $150 in, and that it's every Friday. So we're at 100% even without all that. Like if we did nothing else and finished deposits, we're still over 100%. Anyway, I started with E-Trade, but I switched it to Robinhood specifically for the fact that I can just buy Bitcoin directly, and that will start to be a regular play. It's something. The growth account really just copies my main account anyway, but under 100,000, I'm going to start buying a lot of Bitcoin. So when I say aggressively, I mean aggressively for the account size of the growth account. And the importance of this growth account is to show everyone the stages, because there's trades you just can't take. If you have a $2,000 account, sorry, you're not taking the same trades I'm taking in my main account. You're not taking earnings plays. You have to be a little bit more selective. You know, we're at 15,000 now. You know, and next year we'll probably be above PDT, hopefully comfortably above that. And then you'll start to see the trades. You'll see more and more. Like right now, there's a trade a week. There's a couple trades a week. There's sometimes it's on fire, and I feel like I'm alerting everybody 90 million times. A lot of times, I bet people are probably wondering, like, oh, when's the big money coming in? Like, I don't sit and stare at the screen all day. This is trading. First of all, doesn't need that. Anyway, again, not a sales pitch, but for everyone that's on the Patreon, they see it. They see all the plays. Um, but I want to start doing like a series of just overall. Here's what I'm thinking. Next month, probably going to look into this. Um, Futures coming. Futures are coming in Robinhood. It'll be a little bit before we can trade futures in that account. Because you still need to have proper risk management. You know, you don't want to get nuts into one thing, and futures move fast. There's a lot of tax advantages. There's a lot of advantages to futures, and if you don't know what you're doing, that can be detrimental. Like that can really kill your account. But what we probably will do is maybe sell some oil futures. We'll sell some puts on there. I do like selling oil futures. Uh, Futures minis. uh, anyway, here nor there. But just to cover, like there will start to be a regular Bitcoin buy, uh, unless the one thing that's probably going to stop that is I'm really bullish Tesla. I'll jump ahead real quick. Um, if this were to have a fire sale, and I mean it it turns into a pump and dump, and we get the dump side of it. Right now we've had 2 red days and one of them's higher. You know, like if that was an absolute fire sale, I'm going to buy Tesla like my hair's on fire. But those are, we have Nvidia in the account, which has been awesome. Um, but we will have Tesla and Bitcoin. Growth account has taught me how I was trading way too much before and way too risky at plays. It's been good. It's been a good learning experience. Yeah, and look how much money you've made compared to what you've done. And I do get that a lot. It's not even just shouting you out by any chance. People tell me that all the time. People will jump in and they think it's they're fine. They're shooting from the hip, just firing on all cylinders, just 90 to nothing. And sometimes they win 100 trades, lose 100 trades inside of a couple of days. It's nuts. And you just don't have to. Watch what happens when you just sit back and play with, follow the steps of the big money. Take advantage of the much bigger moves, which is like they say all the time: trade less and profit more. Plus, I don't need to make a decision every 5 minutes. I can make a decision every 5 hours. That's it. Which is why I think a lot of my following, they have jobs, because it's perfect. All right, moving on. S&P. I think we're just basing out. I think we got a little bit extended. We can call that. I think there's the Trump pump, and then I'm going to coin it that. I think there's two terms. This right here, I don't think is how the. Can you imagine the next 4 years looking like this? Everyone's like, "Oh, Trump's in office, send it," and I think there's the Trump pump, and then there's going to be maybe the Trump trend or something like that. This absolutely sent it. And when stocks push up like this, they need to pull over or pull back. And right now, I do think we're pulling over. I kind of thought we'd have a dip buy. I'm long ES. Um, that is a futures contract. I'm just gonna, as long as this doesn't break right here, I'll still be in it. The Trump dump. No, that's next year. That's next year, and they blame him for a crash. Um, but as of now, you kind of have to just play the trend. It'd be foolish not to. Jumping on these tracks because you think you need to go short is like going up to a roulette table, seeing red the last 7 times, and you're like, oh, I'm going to put my money on black. Just no logic other than, I don't think it's supposed to do that. Like, remember, who are you? Okay? Uh, don't think with your wallet. Think with theirs. There's no reason to go short right now. There's a lot of reasons why we could be bullish into the end of the year. Now, this could melt off tomorrow. Lightning strikes and just sends it down. If that base breaks, I mean, that's what's going to happen, guys. There's a rally and a base. And after doing this for 12 years, there's only so many outcomes. It's going to go up or down. We're breaking this thing up. We're going to hit that. There's going to be a zone up top. Or we pull back, and I would look at this as a dip buy. And I'm telling you right now, if we got PPI tomorrow, PPI comes out and it's terrible, whatever, melts this thing all the way off, I would buy that bright red candle before it turned around. I would catch that knife right there. But in the meantime, that's what I have to wait. I got to play the current trend. If lightning strikes, I'll get it right there. As far as expected moves go, we've done nothing this week. NASDAQ. Now, this is actually a little bit more bull flaggish. There is a difference between a base and a flag. Uh, it's like they're trying, and I don't know who they are, but they're trying their hardest. Trying to sell it off, but it just continuously gets bought back up as far as the NASDAQ goes. We've seen the magnificent, we're going to call it the Magnificent Six. They've been red, and a lot of this Tesla has really held up. If they were to all line up one day, I mean, that's what's going to take to get the S&P to break down. You're going to need all the tech guys to just start holding hands and jumping off. You guys ever seen everybody do a cannonball at the same time at the pool? They all line up, everyone jumps in at the same time. That's what it would take to probably bring these down. This one's been a little bit spicier, a little bit better to day trade. When it drops down, you can front run that risk and catch the knife. It does not give you much. It sells off, and as soon as it breaks that low, and everyone's thinking, here comes the dip buy, that was the dip buy, and it turns around. And the dangerous part about this is this can just lull you to sleep. You can think that every time. You're going to think 1, 2, 3, 4, fool me once, fool me twice. Oh, I'm going to buy this dip. And it's one of these times that it will be a real dip. That red candle will be followed by another one. So it is important to just not close your eyes and do this. You still want to run stops. If you knew the market was going to turn around, then even I wouldn't bother with the stop loss. I would just buy it and call it a day. But you have to prepare for what could happen, not what you hope happens. They did it 3 times, free liquidity. It really is. They break a low, everyone gets pumped, freaked out. Whatever, they're triggering someone's emotions. And as soon as they start to sell, they snap it right back up. So I feel like this one's a little bit easier to track if you're watching the Magnificent Seven. They move so much. The S&P is not going to sit that one out, but the S&P has financials. There's a lot of things that they could do bad, but as long as that other group is doing well, can really slow that down. So I don't know. Take that however you will. I would just have to be bullish. This again, we pushed up. I think we're just eating time off for your EMA people. Like your EMA is probably right here. We're just cooling off indicators. We went from overbought. Let's pull up the RSI. Yeah, look, we went from overbought. Let me just stretch that out for you guys so you guys can really see it on the screen. Overbought to not overbought. At one point, look at this. We were almost tagged in oversold area, and all we did was go sideways. EMAs are catching up. So some nerd out there is like, I'm waiting for the EMA 20 bounce, and I'm going to buy. And what's going to happen is they left the 20 EMA in the dust, and it's about to run right into it, and it's going to bounce. Like, oh, I told you that's the best indicator. But and I'm not even making fun of that. That's how it's going to pan out. They cool off indicators, and it's time to buy again. That big red candle followed by that big green one did get me. It closed on the hourly, so I tried to short, but I stopped out and just sat out today. Honestly, I don't care if you won or lost because I don't care. No, I'm kidding. That's probably the way to play out when we're jacking around like this in the markets. That's how I do it. You jump in, try your best, and this does sound very much like gambling, but it's choppy, and sometimes playing a chop is really cool because you're gonna have one of 2 days. You're gonna lose every trade, or you're gonna win every trade. I don't know if I've ever had like an in between. Some days it'll be choppy like this, and you'll top tick, bottom tick, and you're just who wants some? Because I'm an ATM, money for days. And then other days you just lose. By the time you go long, they're going short. You switch gears, so do they. So when it gets choppy like that, you hope for the best, but don't lose a million times in a row. You try it, they shake you out one time. Sometimes you give it the benefit of the doubt, but quitting that scene earlier is what's going to net you more money in the long run. Trying to jack around with that game is going to mess you up. Again, nothing on the week. Looking at the Dow, Grandpa Dow on his Cialis. Hmm. This is an hourly zone right here. I don't like drawing out these little micro tiny zones, but something going on right there. You don't want that to break. Actually, these zones, if it's white, by the way, it's typically like 15-minute time frame. So this would be just your day traders watching these zones. But you can clearly see something's going on at these levels. Break above that, I'd say we're bullish. Break below that, bearish. We'll probably head on down to that blue zone.